For my marine science project, I compared stand-up paddleboarding in the Pacific Open Ocean, the Bolinas Lagoon, and the San Francisco Bay. I used a Riviera 404 board that is 12 feet 6 inches long to paddle the 3 locations I visited at. The board weighs around 30 pounds and is made of carbon fiber. To get out to the open ocean, we took a boat past the Golden Gate Bridge. I went out on a sunny day when it was not super windy so that the waves were not choppy when I got out. I chose to stop in an area under the Point Bonita Lighthouse past the bridge where we were still in the open ocean, but the waters were calmer because we were in a more protected area. There was a beach in front of us called Kirby Beach where I saw some people fishing. The swell and the winds were a major factor during this paddle because it immediately pushed me downwind northeast about 15 miles per hour right when I started paddling. Trying to stand up on the paddle was at first super hard, and when I started paddling it was difficult to find my balance. I felt like I didn't have to use my arms that much during this paddle because the wind was blowing me so quickly. The depth ranged between 60 and 100 feet, and the water was a murky green turquoise color. I paddled out near the Point Bonita Lighthouse. The most common animals to see here are dolphins, pelicans, seagulls, and seals, but I watched a flock of seagulls, terns, and osprey, different types of birds, fly away. Farther out past the lighthouse point, there was a bell buoy called the 4-fathom bank-lighted bell buoy. The reason why it has a bell in it is so that boats passing by don't hit it when it's too foggy and hard to see ahead. A lot of the time, seals will rest on these bell buoys and hide away from potential predators. The major source of pollution that I saw in the open ocean is from boat pollution. The boat motor's fuel pollutes the ocean by emitting gases and carbon dioxide, which also can cause noise pollution. The next location I went to was the Bolinas Lagoon in Seadrift. It is a popular spot for paddleboarders and kayakers and is a 1,100-acre tidal estuary that connects to Stinson Beach. The first thing that I noticed when entering the water was the foam alongside the dock and entryway. After researching this, I discovered that the cause of this was algae blooms, creating thick sea foams. This foam is not harmful to the habitats or humans and indicates a healthy ecosystem. This saltwater lagoon is also home to many harbor seals that spend their time away from the ocean where they won't be in danger. There was a mid-tide current, but I did not feel it to affect my paddling. The depth ranged from 1 to 6 feet, and this was definitely an obstacle during my paddle because I had to be aware of whether the fin from the board would touch the bottom and get stuck. The unique habitat consists of mudflats, marshes, tidal channels, and a flood shoal island. Across the lagoon was a marsh and mudflat where many of the seals and Huron birds were resting. Especially at low tides, there were constantly many harbor seals that rested on the land. Many of the threatened and endangered steelhead and coho salmon swim upstream through the lagoon to reach spawning grounds which are in the Marin County parks, but I did not see any of these fish. The ocean flows directly into the lagoon, which is why many of the animals migrate into here, and is a fun attraction for anyone paddling or kayaking. The last spot that I paddled at was into the San Francisco Bay. This bay is the largest estuary in western North America and drains water from about 40% of California. Many people paddle out into the bay but need to remain cautious to not disturb the wildlife in it. Coming out of our canal and entering to where the boats were docked is when I felt the biggest change from the wind. After paddling past the docking area and entering into the open bay, there were waves coming through the entry that made me feel a complete change. The connection that the bay has to the delta in Suisun Bay provides the way for numerous marine and coastal organisms. I was able to observe different types of birds like seagulls, mallards, and the Canada geese. There are usually tons of harbor seals that are spotted while paddling in the bay, but I did not get to see any this time. Closer to the rocks and the houses, the water was a brown murky color and changed in darkness because of the sun's rays and how the particles in the water absorbed them. Deeper into the bay, I also saw a long line of debris and seaweed called the current line. One side of it was the flood line, and the other side was the ebb line.